She's just a girl and she's on fire.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lakaya and this is part 2 of my lifeguard story. Let's go right into. So last time we left off, I was talking to you guys about the CPR class and how I had passed that. And now on Saturday and Sunday is when Saturday we will be learning about the test, doing a whole bunch of things, basically a review for Sunday, which is when the actual test would be. Saturday rolls around, so my friend Alyssa comes over and my mom is going to take me and her to the place we were supposed to be for the courses. So when we get there, we're just sitting there and waiting for everybody else to show up. We get there kind of early and we're just waiting. And when finally everybody gets there, she tells us that we're gonna warm up with 2 laps, which I was first nervous about because, as you know from the last video, I did not like the laps at all. But this was only 2, so I was pretty confident in myself. And then we get separated into groups. And in those groups, we learned about different things. They have 3 stations. 2 stations were in deep water, so there's one on this side, one on this side, and by the deck it was CPR. So on Saturday we learned a lot about being victims and what the difference between active and passive is. An active victim is when they are still breathing, they are trying to gasp for air, their arms will be flailing around. That's how you know when they're active and they're just trying to get out. Passive is, there's also different types of passive, but is when they are not breathing, they are not moving. So we also learned about different types of saves. I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but I'm going to list the types of saves here, and then y'all can go look it up and see what they are. Because this video is already going to be super long. So a lot of the time we're learning about what we're actually going to be doing for the test the next day. So we're working a lot of the deep water submerged test and also learning about backboards and also about what to do for the CPR thing and also for the group CPR, which I will get to later. Me and my friend Alyssa weren't together a lot because we were in different groups. Sometimes we were in the same group together, but still we had to focus and learn. But when it was lunchtime, we had an hour lunch and me and her would hang out. Our parents would drop us off food and then we'll sit and we'll talk and wait for everybody else to show up. Saturday was really a lot of repeating the same thing, making sure that we get it, a lot of demonstrations, a lot of the following behind them. It was mostly about active and passive, a lot of CPR. We really on that first day worked super hard. It was from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. back to back, and we did not forget it because our whole body was hurt. So that's basically all that happens on Saturday. I really shortened a lot of what we did, but like I said, it was just a lot of repeating and a lot of going over the certain things that we were learning for the test for the next day. The next day rolls around, which is the big test day that a lot of people were nervous about, because I know I was. And so on that day, in the beginning, we did a warm-up, but this warm-up was different. We got into groups of 4, and 2 people would go around to the deep end while the other 2 people were at the shallow end with the tube. And one person over there at the deep end would jump down and they would be an active victim. So they were splashing around in the deep end. The person with the tube has about 1 long whistle. 1 long whistle means it is an active person and they need help. 2 long whistles mean that it's a passive victim and they definitely need help. So the person with the tube on the shallow end swims to the person in the deep end, and once you get to the active victim, you push the tube under them to make their body float up. and you say, "Hi, I am a lifeguard. I'm here to help." And you kick to the wall, and then that means that they're safe. So then, while they're holding onto the tube, you swim all the way back with them, all the way to the shallow end. And I had to do a guy, so it was kind of weighing me down, so I was slow, but we still made it. And the hard thing is that they couldn't help you kick, they couldn't help you do anything. Lay there and wait while we swim with them. When it was my turn to be victim, I was splashing. So the person came with me, he was a guy. I'm not trying to be sexist or anything. He was pretty strong. I wasn't. I know a lot of girls can really pull a guy, and because that's them, but me, not the case. So he comes, he helps me, and now I'm sitting, or I'm laying on the tube, and he zooms off, and I almost fly off the tube. This guy is going like 100 miles in the water all the way to the shallow end, and I'm just being dragged with him. So that was cool. So they did go over whistles this time, and like I said, whistles were, one long whistle was an active person, 2 long whistles was a passive person, and 1 short one was you just trying to get onto them. So a lot of Sunday was practicing for the test. For that test, this is what we had to do. And you have it on you. And there's the slack of it. So you would fold it up in your hand and you would put on the tube. Then the lifeguard would tell you, okay, you're good to go. Like, you can go now. And what you do is you would say, since if it's a passive victim and they're underwater, because it was a deep water submerged passive victim save, you would do 2 long whistles. So before you jump in, you would say 2 long whistles, and you would do a compact jump. A compact jump looks like a cannonball, but with the tube. That's basically what it is. There's different types of jumps also, but that was the main one that you had to do. So you jump in and you would say that. Then you swim towards that person and they would go down, because nobody's going to hold their breath down that long. They would go down when you get a little close to them. Then you can either go head first into the water, or you can do what a lot of people did, and it was called the pencil drop. I call it the pencil drop because I forgot what else it was called. But basically, you're going to go pointed downward, and you're going to push water above you so you can sink lower and lower to get the victim. So once you're down there, you grab the victim up by the arm. And while you're underwater, so it will be way easier for you when you're on top, is you would grab the slack and feed it to the other hand. So while you're grabbing it, you're going like that. So until you get to the very top of the tube. Once you get on top of the water, you lean the person immediately back, because if their head fell into the water, it will be an automatic fell. So you can lean the person back on you, on your shoulder. You can lift it up with your knee so their body will not go down. The reason why they're telling you this is because once you get on top of the water, it's going to be kind of hard, because that tube was so stupid and it would not go underneath the person that it was supposed to. At the very end of the tube, and you would force it into between you and the person's back. And without letting go of the victim, you would push the tube in the middle of y'all. Throw that person's hands, both over the tube. Grab onto the person's arm and the tube so they won't let go. Swim with this hand, and you call out for a backboard. If you don't call out for a backboard, then there will be no backboard. So you call out, I need a backboard. They would put the backboard down into the water. So once you get to the backboard, you hand the opposite hand, or whichever hand, to the person that is holding the backboard. They grab that hand, and you can pull the tube out from under them, since they have them on they're holding them up, so they got them. So while you're down still in the water, you're going to position their body above the board, and the board should be coming all the way up, so it will be an easier way to pull them out. If you try to do it diagonal or straight up, it's going to be really, really hard. So it's better to get them as flat as possible so you can easily slide them out. It was hard sometimes, yes, but it was easier if it was like that. So after you did that, you had to quickly get out and you had to say, size up the scene. After you say that, your time will stop because you only have a minute and something to do it. A minute 40. You only have a minute 40 to complete all of that. And once you say size up the scene, which is the first thing that you say before you do CPR, because you need to make sure that where you're finna perform CPR is safe. So lifeguard person will be making sure that you do all the steps that you're supposed to be doing for the CPR thing. She would say, or he would say, the scene is clear or the scene is safe. Then you would say glove up, because you don't want to catch anything that the victim has. Whether or not they have it, whether or not you know them, it is important that you glove up. So the actual test, they had actual gloves, because when we were practicing the whole time, they didn't have any gloves. We would just be like, glove up. This time you actually had to put gloves on, and it was harder because you just got out of the water, so your hands are kind of hard to put your hands in the gloves. And this part was, the CPR part was not timed. So you had plenty of time, you could calm down, but it was important to save the person. So after that, you would check for response. So you would tap them as hard as you can and say, hey, are you okay? You would tell the lifeguard to go call EMS. The next step was checking for vitals. You would tilt their head back and you put your 2 fingers right here and you would listen for breathing. Which while you're doing that is you would count 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, all the way to 10 1,000. After that, she would say there is no breathing or no pulse and no breathing. Since you got them out of the water, it is important that you give them breaths before you give them CPR, because it's not so much of a heart problem, it's more of they cannot breathe. So first you would do 2 ventilations with your mask. So you would put the mask on them, you would do 2 breaths, start CPR. So you had to keep going for 2 minutes. So that's what the second test was. CPR test was you had to perform CPR for 2 minutes. So after those 2 minutes, which should be about 5 cycles, maybe even 6 cycles of 30 chest compressions and 2 ventilations, the lifeguard that was timing you would say, okay, EMS has arrived and took over. I passed the first test, passed the second test. The third test was the group CPR. The group CPR was with an AED, a BMV, somebody was doing compression, and somebody was having the ventilation mask. So we all had different roles to play. She gave us a scenario and we all did our part, and together we all passed as a group. We had a whole nother 2 tests. This time it was a written test, and we had to all carpool to Pirates Bay. When we came to the Pirates Bay and we were in the place, a lot of people were already there. So the 2 tests were the CPR test and the lifeguard test. After that, they would look over the test to see what you missed, and then you could take it again. If you fail the second time, you're gonna have to come back the next day at like 9 a.m. to retake it for your last time. If you didn't pass it that time, then you weren't officially a lifeguard. I took my CPR test and I took my lifeguard test. The first time, I think I missed like 9, and then the second test I missed like 12. So I had to redo those, and I did not pass both of them. So I had to come the next day, and I was really hard on myself about it. it was really because I have really bad test anxiety, and there was a lot of distractions and I couldn't focus, and plus it was a big group of people and my mind was just everywhere and not really focused on the test. So the next time I took a small office, it was only me and 2 other people that was there and 1 lifeguard. And I finally passed both of them. With one of them, I only missed 5, and the second one I made it 100, which she told me I was probably one of the first people to ever make 100. So that made me really happy. And so then, the way that anybody knows that they truly are a lifeguard is if you get a call about the drug test. So I already taken the test Monday. Tuesday, I got a call. It was from Pirates Bay, and I was like, is this the call? And so I called them back. They're like, yes, who am I speaking to and all that? And I told them my name, and they're like, okay, has anybody ever talked to you about the drug test? And I was like, nope, no, they did not. And they were like, okay, well, we have one open for not this Saturday, but the next Saturday on the 23rd. And I was like, yes, that's perfect. So, long story short, guys, I'm a lifeguard. Next Saturday, I will fill y'all in with a nice little video of me headed to Pirates Bay to go take a drug test, which of course I'll pass because I don't do drugs. But it's really cool because I've never had a job in my whole life before, and now my first job is going to be me as a lifeguard. I think that is a very big accomplishment to me. I look back at how hard I worked for it, how much I cried, how much my skin was bleeding, how I had sores all over my body, and I just proud that I did something that a lot of people wouldn't think of doing or even imagining doing. I know a lot of people gave up. I know a lot of people that didn't make it. I know there are people that were doubting me because they would be like, oh, you're small, how can you save somebody? And it's really not all about size. If you know what you're doing and you know the steps to take, you can save anybody. It does not matter how small or how big you are. But with that, guys, I will see y'all tomorrow. Always remember to love yourself, and that is my lifeguard story. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give me a like and subscribe, and comment down below if you ever wanted to be a lifeguard. Okay, so I'll see y'all later. Bye, guys.